He had planned for Jong-do to steal the spotlight, but now someone else had taken it all. Trying to save face, he grabbed a reporter and announced that Black Cloud Guild had special strategies ready to publicly challenge the tower's third-floor boss. But when Hong Dopio grabbed the reporter's shirt, the guy shrugged him off and didn't even want his shirt back. Instead, he rushed over to Kang Jinyuk. Holding the shirt, Hong Dopio's mind wandered deep, while Kang Jinyuk stood in the spotlight cameras flashing nonstop. Hong Dopio's face darkened. Without another word, he dropped the shirt and walked away. Meanwhile, the copying conditions were met. The skill blood demon spirit was successfully copied. Scene change. Now Kang Jinyuk was comfortably seated in first class on a plane. The flight attendants welcomed him with warm smiles, and they served an elegant dinner just for him. All this fuss was because he'd just become South Korea's latest S-rank player. As the country's 16th S-rank newbie, making waves out of nowhere, Kang Jinyuk sparked a buzz online and even caught the attention of the Awakener Association's guildmaster. When the guild leader found out Kang Jinyuk was heading to Las Vegas, he immediately booked him a flight. But just as Kang Jinyuk was enjoying his meal, Alice's serious voice buzzed through his ring communicator. She warned him to watch out for a pale man traveling on the plane. Saying something about the guy made her, a vampire, feel uneasy. If she was creeped out, this guy was definitely trouble. Hearing this, Kang Jinyuk activated his Eye of Truth and his pupils shrank instantly. The man's name was Alex, and the catch for copying Alex's skills was joining the Demonic Ones Association. In other words, beneath that calm facade, Alex was a full-blown demon sympathizer. At that moment, Alex casually approached Kang Jinyuk, sounding surprised as he asked if he was the new S-rank player rising in the country. Being targeted by a demonic one was no accident. While Kang Jinyuk guessed Alex's game, he was polite and upfront, confirming who he was. After hearing that Alex handed over his business card and invited Kang Jinyuk for a drink nearby, Kang Jinyuk decided to play along and didn't say no. So over drinks and chatting. After a bunch of small talk, Alex swirled his wine and cautiously mentioned that besides business, he was expanding his Awakener ventures in Korea. But he sighed, admitting he'd hit some snags along the way. Then Alex asked if Kang Jinyuk knew about the recently famous masked player called Unknown. Kang Jinyuk nodded. Yeah, I heard he's planning a solo run on the third floor. Alex bluntly said his company wanted in on that third floor challenge, but Unknown messed up their plans. Even though Unknown claimed he was protecting his teammates, he was really just blocking others from interfering with his own goals. Kang Jinyuk asked, "So, you know Unknown?" Alex nodded confidently. Watching this guy lie right to his face was almost amusing. Kang Jinyuk was speechless, realizing this was the real Unknown in front of him. Then Alex dropped the bait, inviting Kang Jinyuk to join their third-floor assault team. Kang Jinyuk reminded him that Unknown had already declared no one else could enter during his third-floor run, letting players act solo. Alex countered, "With you on our side, we can get in and snag the hidden loot in the boss room." Kang Jinyuk immediately caught on. They wanted to use him as their ticket past the guilds blocking the third floor. Kang Jinyuk shook his head, saying he'd just earned his S-rank status and wasn't looking to start trouble with other guilds right away. Alex smiled and said, "Hey, I'm a businessman. I always pay well. Ever heard of an elixir that can heal you instantly no matter how sick or near death you are?" Alex said, pulling out a bottle of holy water. He handed it to Kang Jinyuk as a down payment for his help. "Of course you gotta sign this contract first." Right then the system notified, "Alex has activated the contract of the dead skill." Kang Jinyuk knew this contract seemed normal on the surface, but once signed, if the signer broke their promise, then signing it would be a death sentence demanding the signer's life, but if he didn't sign, no harm would come to him. So Kang Jinyuk pushed the contract aside, saying he needed to be careful about his connections with different guilds, and declined again. Alex let out a disappointed sigh. "All right then, just give us back the holy water." Kang Jinyuk waved him off without much care. Alex froze, asking what he meant. "Look, I'm cautious by nature, but I'm just as greedy. When I set my sights on something, I'm going to get it no matter what." Alex's face darkened as he growled, "What kind of nonsense is that?" Suddenly, violent tremors shook the cabin. Alex was stunned. Kang Jinyuk just unleashed that much magical power. Was he losing it? Just then, the shaking stopped abruptly, and the flight attendant announced over the speakers that the plane had entered a patch of unexpected warm air. "Better get back to your seat and buckle up," the voice said. Kang Jinyuk muttered quietly, "Yeah, I guess I should heed that." Through gritted teeth, Alex asked, "You knew who I was the whole time, didn't you?" Kang Jin nodded, even praising his acting skills. Alex threatened, "You're not getting away with this. Unknown is going to make you pay." Kang Jinyuk chuckled dryly. "Who do you think you're kidding?" Your crew got crushed by Unknown at the Olympus meeting, and you still have the nerve to say you're working with them." Alex's expression shifted. Both shocked Kang Jinyuk knew this, and suspicious Alex had some secret link to Unknown. Then again, maybe Kang Jinyuk's S-rank status earned him intel shared among guilds. Before parting, Kang Jinyuk tossed another jab. "Honestly, if you had been nicer, I might have spilled some info about Unknown. See ya." At the same moment, the plane touched down. "If you'd been a bit kinder earlier, maybe I would have shared some info about Unknown. Catch you next time." Right then, the plane touched down. As they walked through the unfamiliar city, a distinctly modern cityscape appeared. Alice perked up. "Is this a human city? Looks pretty nice." As a reward for helping track down that demon, Kang Jinyuk let Alice roam freely outside. But while strolling, Kang Jinyuk started prepping for what was next. He activated his fusion skill, instantly merging Eye of Truth with Blood Demon Spirit. A notification popped up. "You've acquired the Eye of Gluttony. This item can pierce any barrier and grants vision sharing plus mind reading. But because of the Blood Demon Spirit's influence, using it too much risks messing with your mind." Though Kang Jinyuk had better fusion techniques, this was all he could manage for now. Just then Alice pointed at a lavish building and asked, "Are we heading there?" Kang Jinyuk shook his head. "No magic allowed inside. We're off to a different, more interesting spot." At the hint of fun, Alice's eyes lit up with excitement. Soon they stood before a much smaller rundown building. Alice was doubtful there'd actually be anything fun there until they heard someone shout, "I caught that guy cheating with my own eyes." A blonde guy was getting roughed up on the street. "Skills too. Here losers are just fools," Kang Jinyuk thought approvingly. Couldn't have said it better. Then the two stepped inside, and Alice found the interior surprisingly decent. But in the next moment, Kang Jinyuk gently lifted Alice onto a nearby chair and told the server, "Give her whatever she wants to drink. I'll cover it." Seeing he intended to keep her there, Alice started feeling uneasy. Kang Jin whispered softly, "Relax. I just need to grab some chips for the auction. I'll be back quick." Meanwhile, at a poker table, Pedro activated his skill Advanced Blockade and drew 2 cards from the deck. This move stopped anyone from messing with the cards. Seeing he had a strong hand, he finally breathed easy. He'd already lost over $500,000 to the guy opposite him, but luck was finally on his side. It was time to flip the script, so he decided to go all in. Kang Jinyuk thought it over, then pushed all his chips forward, saying, "All in. Stakes are pretty high now. You ready for this?" Pedro replied, "You bet." Then he caught Kang Jinyuk asking, "Which guild runs this place?" Pedro asked. "It's owned and operated by the Scavenger Guild," came the reply. He still wondered why the opponent was suddenly firing questions at him. "Aren't customers allowed to ask questions here?" Pedro quickly shook his head and said, "Go ahead, ask whatever you want." Still, he felt a knot tighten in his chest. He suspected the opponent might be reading his mind to catch his reaction, but it didn't matter. Time to lay his cards on the table. The cards were picked by his skill alone. Nobody else could mess with them, but he could. He triggered his sleight of hand ability. The cards flipped over, but nothing changed. His skill had somehow failed. Kang Jinyuk stared at his opponent, who had tried some shady move, but ended up showing his own cards and said, "Looks like I won," with the Eye of Gluttony and Anubis's Judgment active. The opponent's sneaky tricks seemed nearly comical. Just as Kang Jinyuk was about to claim his prize hold on, fast footsteps came, and a bunch of people suddenly closed in on Kang Jinyuk. He quickly realized they weren't about to let him walk away with that cash. "Is this how you treat customers? Someone walking off with that kind of money isn't our kind of customer," snapped a redhead. "Grab him now." Kang Jinyuk just smirked at hearing that. Suddenly, with a sharp whistle in his ears, he remembered something he'd heard when he first got here. What was it? "Oh yeah, around here losers are idiots. If you come at me ruthlessly, don't expect me to be merciful." As a bullet scraped past him, Kang Jinyuk made his move, pinning the shooter to the ground in an instant. Other patrons cheered. Alice, sipping her wine, asked about its name. The server replied, "This wine's called Kiss of Fire. It symbolizes the burning passion between lovers." Alice muttered, "Passionate love. How cliché." Meanwhile, the black shop's manager was losing his mind, frantically asking why the guild hadn't shown up yet, only to be told it'd take at least 30 more minutes. Panic welled up inside him. The opponent was far stronger than anyone expected. Just then, one of his subordinates brought bad news. The redhead cursed. What could possibly be worse than this mess? Then his face turned pale. Something truly major had happened. The message in his hand said Kang Jinyuk was an S-rank raid hunter. There were only around 20 S-ranks in all of Las Vegas, and he just ran into one here. He immediately grasped that if this opponent wanted to cause real havoc, his whole shop would be flattened in seconds. As shouted orders to stop echoed, The redhead ripped his collar open and fell to his knees with a heavy thud. "We were blind and blindfolded, dear customer. Please forgive our disrespect." Kang Jinyuk caught on instantly. The opponent had apparently figured out his S-rank status. Still, this way of bullying the weak and fearing the strong was downright gross. But maybe he'd cut them some slack this time, along with what I won. Add a nice fat compensation payment and we'll call it square. How about that? Right then, Kang Jinyuk's phone pinged with a transfer notification. At the same moment, his prearranged car pulled up. This ride was specially arranged for the auction. Peeking out, he realized he couldn't see the outside from inside. Kang Jinyuk was surprised at how secretive the auction location was, which only heightened his curiosity. When he stepped out again, he found himself standing in front of a beautifully decorated building. Alice was already nudging him, eager to get out, her footsteps light. Alice scanned the lavish surroundings and smiled. "This place really matches my noble bloodline." Kang Jinyuk quietly reminded her to stay low-key. This auction attracts all sorts of shady types. As they moved through the crowd, some insiders were already buzzing about the rare items that might pop up. Since the Tower of Trials appeared, countless treasures have been surfacing non-stop. But then Alice caught a strange foul scent, that sickening stench of demons. Suddenly a voice greeted them from beside. "Nice to meet you. I'm Julius Kendrick, the teacher of this idiot right here," he said, nodding toward Alex's battered face. Kang Jinyuk sneered, activating the Eye of Gluttony to instantly scan Julius's stats. His opponent's innate power was a potent skill that perfectly suited his necromancer job, which caught Kang Jinyuk off guard. To copy an opponent's skill, you had to follow them through black magic courses and reach Atlas grade. Kang Jinyuk thought this condition was ridiculous. Maybe the system was just messing with him by setting such a crazy requirement. Then Julius said he came looking for info Kang Jinyuk had about Unknown. But Kang Jinyuk brushed it off with a maybe next time and started to leave. Julius blocked his path with his staff. No next time was coming. "I'm in a hurry. If that's the case, this is none of my business." He left immediately with Alice. Julius told Alex not to act rashly. He had other ways to put Kang Jin in his place. Meanwhile, Alice asked if they should just wipe out those demons now. Kang Jinyuk replied, "Now's not the time to stir up trouble. We have business to handle." With that, Kang Jinyuk guided Alice into the auction hall. The first item up was a meteorite starting at $100,000. Cheap, but Kang Jinyuk knew no blacksmith could forge with meteorite iron yet. He bid $300,000 and waited to claim it. But when the bid hit $1 million, those demons who'd been at odds with Kang Jin earlier suddenly outbid him. Kang Jin wondered what their game was as they kept doubling his bids. After a few items, Kang Jin realized they were targeting him, trying to block him from getting what he wanted. So he decided to play along. Kang Jin started bidding wildly, no matter if the item was useful or not, sometimes jumping in before hearing the full description. Julius matched every bid without hesitation. During the back and forth, Kang Jin purposely drove prices up into the millions. Julius would double it again and buy himself. They'd already dropped tens of millions. Alex asked his teacher if they weren't wasting too much money. Julius didn't hesitate to smack Alex. "Idiot. What if we get what we want?" "Yeah, it's a bit of a mess now, but if we get what that guy's after, it's worth trading for the info we need." Then something showed up for chess fans, the oldest international chessboard. Most weren't interested, but Alice looked puzzled as Kang Jinyuk jumped in with a $50,000 bid. Julius answered $100,000, then $150,000, $500,000, $1 million. Julius then dropped $8 million. Kang Jinyuk paused briefly and set his limit at $10 million, but with a cold laugh, Julius shot up to $30 million. At that moment, Kang Jinyuk realized this was his target, but his max was only $10 million. His expression grew tense. Earlier, he'd already shelled out $70 million of the opponent's cash, but apparently Julius still had plenty left. Just as Julius was about to win the bid, with $100 million, Alice stood up and blurted out a desperate offer. Julius froze stunned that someone would throw that much at a ruined chessboard. Only Alice showed that watch my move look. Kang Jinyuk relaxed a bit, knowing Julius couldn't afford to fail here. He was about to bid $110 million, but suddenly shot up to $200 million. Alice sneered at the guy who dared to challenge her, her gaze sharp and deadly. Julius's defense completely crumbled instantly, wondering if the opponent even had $200 million in assets. The auctioneer also asked Alice if she could back up her claim with proof of her wealth. Without hesitation, Alice held out her hand, revealing a dimensional space behind her. The moment after, she asked casually, "Is this enough?" With a queen-like grace, a flood of treasures spilled out. one staff member nervously picked up a crown and said, "This alone is worth $500 million. While Alice acted like she was discovering these things for the first time, Kang Jinyuk was completely impressed. This was top-tier stuff. Meanwhile, Julius's face turned deathly pale. He turned to Alex and muttered, "We're done here. Get ready to switch to Plan B." Watching Alice help him make his move on the chessboard, Kang Jinyuk didn't know how to thank her enough. Alice shrugged it off, saying she was just clearing out her overstuffed inventory. Besides, she wasn't about to let anyone make her client lose face. Out of nowhere, Alice's sweet words really melted Kang Jinyuk's heart, but right after that, fierce flames burst out behind them. Everyone panicked, as the walls looked like they'd crumble and scrambled for the exits. Then with a flash of his blade, Alex snapped, "Where do you think you're going?" Losing it, Alex wiped out a bunch of people in an instant. At the same time, he activated his magical furnace skill. Suddenly, everyone started staggering, clutching their heads from sharp headaches. Amid the chaos, kids burst into tears, screaming for help. Seeing all this, Kang Jinyuk's expression hardened. He muttered coldly, "You disgusting monster, crossed the line." Without a care, Alex summoned wave after wave of blood demons using the corpses of the fallen. He watched the trembling Kang Jinyuk and sneered, "No wonder you're S rank. That kind of magic can't take you down. But don't worry, I'm going to make sure you feel every bit of the suffering I went through back on the plane. Death's not your end. Go finish him." As he spoke, several blood demons surged at Kang Jinyuk, sending shockwaves crashing around them. Kang Jinyuk dodged expertly. While Alex was still wondering where that rich little girl had vanished, Kang Jinyuk whispered, "You're so ugly she doesn't want to see you," knowing he didn't have enough magic to support Alice's manifestation under the furnace's pressure. Plus, the furnace's damage was only getting worse. He couldn't hold out any longer. In a flash, he sprang into action. Kang Jinyuk unleashed Grave of Swords, instantly cutting down a bunch of blood demons. Alex gasped in surprise. Then a magic circle glowed in his hands as the dead bodies began feeding him power. Instantly, more blood demons appeared, and the ones he'd slain before came back to life. Kang Jinyuk realized Alex was trying to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. But those cheap tricks would never be enough to kill him. Kang Jinyuk activated his daylight skill, ready to incinerate all the blood demons. Alex, who had studied Kang Jinyuk's records, knew this move was coming. He ordered his blood demons to form a shield. But then something weird happened. His blood demons froze in place. Sharp ice was spreading underneath their feet. Kang Jinyuk's eyes went icy as he exhaled a frosty breath. Alex finally got it. The bright light was a distraction, and Kang Jinyuk was secretly using ice magic. Suddenly, a blinding flash struck Alex. He collapsed powerless, still stunned by what he saw. Every last blood demon was wiped out. Kang Jinyuk silently approached from behind. Alex tossed a smoke grenade and tried to bolt, terrified now. He hadn't expected to go from winning to totally getting owned. Desperate, he wanted to link up with his master, but before he could move, a throwing knife slammed into his back. As the smoke faded, Kang Jinyuk was dead on with his shot. Stepping closer, he said, "Making such a mess and then trying to run your lungs are going to fill with your own blood, and you're going to choke. But hey, I'm nice. I can save you from the pain of suffocation." With that, Kang Jinyuk pulled out holy water. "This elixir is going to tell me where the demon's hiding." Seeing the holy water, Alex realized he had one last shot at survival. He tried to talk, but his throat was packed with blood, leaving him mute. Instead, he scrawled a message on the ground with his own blood. Kang Jinyuk suddenly stomped on his hand. "If you're not going to talk, don't blame me for what happens next." Alex cursed silently. This guy never planned to listen anyway. Then Kang Jinyuk pulled out something else. "I don't need this. Take it back." It was Alex's business card. "Hope you die slow and painful, scum. The longer the better." At that moment, Kang Jinyuk spotted two treasures nearby, the heart of an ichthyosaur and Michelangelo's safe. Perfect materials for fusing a high-capacity subspace backpack. With the parts ready, Kang Jinyuk quickly activated equipment fusion. Then a system message popped up. "You have acquired a large-capacity subspace backpack." Just then a voice said, "Hello," and two figures appeared behind Kang Jinyuk. "You've obtained a large-capacity subspace backpack." But just then a voice said, "Hello there." Two people appeared behind Kang Jinyuk. It was the auctioneer from earlier, deeply grateful to Kang Jinyuk for dealing with Alex and saving them both. The auctioneer's little boy also chimed in, "Thank you." Thinking about how close they came to losing two priceless treasures for nothing, Kang Jinyuk awkwardly insisted he would pay for them. No, it's fine." The auctioneer smiled. "Before I passed out, I saw you were the one who took down that demon. You saved us and my son. Consider those items gifts." Kang Jinyuk froze for a moment. Though this was his first time facing such generosity, it felt pretty great. Meanwhile, on the third floor of the Tower of Trial in a place called the Cathedral of Hatred, footsteps echoed as someone dealt with all the complicated mechanisms inside. They grumbled, "Why do I have to face the same traps every single time I come here?" A man standing nearby snapped, "Quit whining." He was in a bad mood because of Alex's situation. Melina shot back coldly, "So now I'm supposed to soothe your feelings?" Just as things looked about to blow up between them, a voice commanded, "Cut it out." A figure in a black robe appeared. "You two have been partners for over 10 years. Why do you keep arguing instead of working together?" The masked man said sharply. "I gathered you here because a guy named Kang Jinyuk has shown up. You'll want to be extra cautious." Melina responded with a cool shrug. This Kang Jinyuk might have played this game a little, but he's probably just an average player. The masked man replied coldly, "Don't underestimate him. The floor he's reached could be higher than anyone's here." Melina muttered, "That can't be. Anyone making it to the 20th floor would be highly sought after by guilds. I think you're giving him too much credit. We chose this obscure virtual reality game to avoid catching the international police's attention, so we know more about the tower than most players. But others don't have our reasons. Honestly, no one else would put up with such a brutal game. Only masochists would keep coming back." Seeing that they weren't taking him seriously, the masked man stayed on alert. He said sharply, "Anyway, you two will follow Julius from now on. You need to help him finish this mission." Meanwhile, outside the Tower of Trial, Lee Tae-min was fully geared up as Yu Yunhwa's sparring opponent. Yu Yunhwa lifted her leg and delivered a powerful kick to Lee Tae-min's handheld protective pad. The force sent the pad flying instantly. "Are you okay?" Yu Yunhwa asked. Lee Tae-min just gave a thumbs-up signaling the kick was no joke. During their break, he showed Yu Yunhwa something interesting. A live stream was playing showing someone named Unknown planning to tackle the third level. Right now, Unknown was at the Phase 3 temple on the third floor. An ancient tree stood there. If you could correctly answer its 3 questions, you'd get various rewards. But the catch was that the tree's questions were insanely hard and no one had ever succeeded. Plus, failing came with a punishment as bad as death. Kang Jinyuk muttered, "All right, let's get this over with. What is the ideal depth and temperature for the marine species Kelgorn to thrive?" Hearing that ridiculously specific question, Yu Yunhwa and her sparring partner watching the stream exclaimed in disbelief, "Who on earth could possibly know that?" Hearing that weird question, Yu Yunhwa and her friend watching the stream gasped, "Who on earth would know that?" Depth 175 meters, temperature 1.5 degrees. Unknown said without hesitation. The room grew tense for a brief moment before Unknown quickly nudged for the next one. The ancient tree was baffled. It hadn't even confirmed if that was right yet. But then heard Unknown press, "That's the answer. Come on, hurry up." The ancient tree frowned, deciding to up the ante with a tougher question to drain some Polani corpus spongesum. "What's the proper way to prepare it?" "You simmer it slowly with sunlight, desert salt, and holy water from high priests for 5 hours. And once again, the answer was spot on. The final question, giant eagles from the Sky Plateau breed only once every year. When does that happen? Unknown slammed the buzzer right away. When it snows for the first time in the tower. The ancient tree was stunned, but a second later burst out laughing. "Congratulations, you're the first person to nail all my questions. Even the folks watching the stream were blown away by Unknown's smarts. Sure, they didn't get all the details, but they knew it was impressive, now sticking to the deal. The ancient tree lets Unknown pick any color of maple leaf it holds. Red leaves grant fire powers. Yellow leaves boost defense, while green ones speed up movement. Yu Yunhwa figures Unknown, who's about to take on the boss's endless waves, will probably pick the speed leaf. Hand over your precious black maple leaf." Then Unknown says something nobody saw coming, which puts the ancient tree in a sour mood. The tree's expression twists and it blurts out, "If you take the red leaf, I'll throw in the green one too." "Deal." Kang Jinyuk scoffs coldly. "Cut the crap. You want to drag the tree spirit's name through the mud, plus if I tell the administrator you know what's coming." Suddenly a roar of frustration echoes. Leaves wither and fall, and bound by his oath, the tree spirit hands over the prize. "You got the black maple leaf. This leaf adds an unbeatable boost to your attacks, increasing enemy damage by 1% every 3 minutes. With that, the third floor boss fight prep is all set. Before leaving, let me deal with you guys too," someone says. Meanwhile, outside the Phase 3 Temple Guild members stand guard, blocking anyone from barging into the boss room and messing up Unknown's run. They don't expect anyone, but seconds later, weapons clatter to the ground. 2 guards freeze in surprise. How did the others vanish? Just like that? Suddenly, black demonic energy shoots up, instantly binding the two. At the same time, A horde of demon minions appears led by Julius, who growls, "We can't waste any more time. He's already started." Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk has smashed a stone statue guarding the ancient tree. He's live streaming his boss fight, but keeps a cool, detached vibe. Viewers debate if he'll pull it off, but he tells them to chill out. Someone in chat asks what's wrong with his streaming style. Unknown fires back. If you're not into this vibe, just leave the stream. Turns out that's a scripted feature to please different audiences. Some streamers act all cute and flirty, but going for the aloof style from the start builds a whole fan base that digs that. Now, after filtering chat, only fans who like this vibe remain. Suddenly, intense battle noises echo from afar. Kang Jinyuk's face tightens. The boss room is huge, and he came through the Phase 3 temple first. Could someone else have slipped in? He swiftly covers his camera, ignoring protests, and announces, "That's it for today's stream." Then he signs off fast. Nearby, on the battlefield, demon minions channel magic, unleashing summoned creatures against the boss's summoned army. Armored soldiers and skeleton warriors collide with endless terracotta fighters. On a distant ridge, Kang Jinyuk didn't expect these demon summons to be stronger than the boss's troops. The demons start pushing ahead. Suddenly, someone gets attacked. Then, huge ice shards appear out of nowhere, catching the demons off guard. While the demons scramble to defend, they spot Unknown in the distance. One shouts, "You're begging for death," and orders his troops to strike. But as arrows whistle through the air, Kang Jinyuk weaves through terracotta soldiers, dodging easily. Seizing the moment, he activates the star's blessing skill with pure divine power. Not only are the demon summons' powers weakened, but their control falters. A flash of cold light streaks through the air. The armored soldiers switch sides, instantly turning on the demons. Panic spreads and demons report back to Julius. The third stronghold is lost. Julius mutters curses. He'd set up 4 strongholds to hold the line against the boss. With the third down, if the first falls too, his whole command grid will crumble. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk fights amid flames, pulling a battle statue the boss summoned toward the demon camp. As the powerful enemy closed in, several people tried to scramble away. But in the blink of an eye, Kang Jinyuk was already right beside them. "Where do you think you're going?" With a sharp whoosh slicing through the air, the battle statue launched skyward. Then, like a mountain smashing down, it slammed into the ground with a deafening crash. Meanwhile, other demons kept updating Julius on the fight, and he muttered curses under his breath. "I see that." Seconds later, he growled, "You little pest, always messing up my plans. Looks like you're asking for trouble." Then, surrounded by rolling demonic energy, the pyramid's skill guardians kicked into gear. Another demon's eyes went wide in shock. This skill was supposed to be saved for boss fights. But Julius cut him off with a sharp "be quiet." He was dead set on taking out Unknown right there. Moments later, he called out, "Rise, golden mummies, climb from the treetops." But unleashing that move nearly drained Julius completely. When a subordinate checked on him, Julius asked for support. Before the subordinate could react, Julius grabbed his shoulder tightly. Then, his body rapidly dried out like a mummified corpse as his own magical power surged. Kang Jinyuk was caught off guard. Julius was turning on his own crew. Right after Julius peeled off his black robe. "Sorry to keep you waiting. Now, let's restart this." He summoned countless golden mummies to crush Unknown. These mummies were wrapped in iron-hard bandages, their combined attack and defense making life a nightmare for Unknown. Melina and Li Chao, hiding nearby, watched all this unfold. Quietly, they agreed. Unknown's initial plan to wipe out Julius's followers was smart, but he failed to factor in just how strong Julius himself was. Seeing Julius already celebrating like the game was half over, Li Chao was convinced they didn't need to step in anymore. But then Melina froze. She spotted Unknown on the battlefield, tiptoeing around danger like it was nothing. At the same moment, Kang Jinyuk slipped into a zone, a kind of trance. His mind drifted back to a past lesson. A swordmaster once told him his sword skills. Though sharp, were too scattered because he relied on brute force. The master had grabbed a thick rope example. "A real expert," he said, "channels 100 times the power with the same effort like wind, flowing smoothly, grounded in softness, then striking hard precisely when it counts." That scene replayed in Kang Jinyuk's mind like a vivid dream. Suddenly his system flashed a message. Fragments of the soul-chasing sword dance skill are resurfacing. "You've really stepped up your soul-chasing sword skills." Next thing, the short sword in Kang Jinyuk's hand surged with 100-fold increase in power. Mummies, rocks, and dirt alike crumbled like dry leaves and broken tiles. What stunned Julius most was that as Kang Jinyuk swung his sword, his magic created a consuming vortex with a deafening roar. That magical whirl turned into a torrent of rolling sword energy. This was the fifth form of the soul-chasing sword dance, the final move called soul-chasing annihilation. The powerful sword energy swept through Julius and his forces like a hurricane in this life-or-death moment. Julius activated his double-sided shield skill, fighting desperately while cursing the Tower of Trial in his heart. Only 6 months since it was real, and this kid's already absurdly strong. Suddenly his staff snapped under the onslaught and he was thrown backward like a rag doll. For a moment, dust spiraled up, and when it settled, only Julius was left crawling, beaten like a scared dog. At that moment, fear gripped him. He finally realized he could never defeat Unknown. All he wanted now was to run. He yelled, "Hurry, come protect me," trying to call Melina and the others. But the only reply came from Unknown. "You and your student are so alike, starting strong but turning coward the second you face defeat. Guess you taught him well." Those words hit Julius hard, and he muttered in disbelief. "So it's you, Kang Jinyuk. Say hi to your student for me." Then with a smirk, "Figured you might need some company on your trip. I'll send you along." After Julius is taken care of, the skeleton soldiers and death knights, the demons summoned on the battlefield, start to vanish. The remaining demons get an unexpected welcome from the terracotta warriors. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk dashes to another temple using the fifth form of his soul-chasing sword dance. This move puts a serious strain on his magic power. Still, while he's recharging, he plans to use his boosted strength to grab another treasure nearby. On the way, he spots a shield that got knocked over here. Kang Jinyuk straps it onto his back right away. It's been ages since he last used a shield. Honestly, that memory is just like now, don't you think? Suddenly, the temple guards appear with a thunderous rumble. The four great kings show up, ready to teach him a lesson for overestimating himself. But Kang Jinyuk blocks with his shield and dodges without missing a beat. A quick slash of his blade takes out two of the kings instantly. At the same time, Kang Jinyuk grits his teeth and mutters, "Hand over the key." Seeing how tough this guy is, one king quickly backs off while reaching into thin air. In a flash of green light, a golden lotus-shaped key suddenly appears in his hand. Then shockingly, the king drives the key into his own body. Kang Jinyuk freezes. He then watches a precious lotus rise up in the air. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "Giving up already," calling for backup. That's some nerve. Just then, a blinding light bursts from the top of the flower. With a mighty roar, the system announces the arrival of the Bodhisattva with 1,000 arms and eyes, Avalokiteshvara. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara growls, "It's been ages since the four kings called me out. Didn't expect anyone could push them this hard." Kang Jinyuk mutters back, "What's this? I still have to take down the boss on this floor next." "You're brave, but clearly clueless about your limits." Without wasting time on chatter, Kang Jinyuk raises his shield. Right now, he's not here to have a friendly chat with a stone statue. Sensing his fighting spirit, countless weapons materialize in the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara's hands. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara sneers, "Big mistake." Then the sound of slicing air fills the space. Endless strikes rush towards Kang Jinyuk. He feels the powerful hits shaking his shield. His heart races, but he stays cool. He's got a plan and just one shot to make it count. Gotta be careful. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk's stubbornness fires up the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara's fighting spirit. He laughs heartily. "Let's see how long you can last," and charges at him. Ice-cold air swirls around Kang Jinyuk as he triggers his ice sculpture skill. A swarm of ice crystals erupts from the ground, instantly blocking Avalokiteshvara's strike. But after just a moment, the sound of shattering ice rings out as the crystals break apart. Still, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara doesn't smile. Instead, he says grimly, "So you're playing dirty, huh? Using Western tricks." As he says that, something darts out from the dust and fog. Avalokiteshvara catches it with ease, mocking him. Avalokiteshvara scoffs. "Pathetic human? That's all you've got." But before he can finish, a streak of blood-red lightning strikes one of his arms. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "Don't count your chickens yet." The red lightning keeps dealing damage. His face hardens. "I'm supposed to be immune to poison. What is this blood demon spirit after the hit?" The damage keeps piling on. Frowning, Avalokiteshvara mutters, "Doesn't matter. I'm not falling for this again." Then he tears off his injured arm and hurls it away. Kang Jinyuk knows losing one arm is no big deal for his foe, and the same trick won't fool him twice. But Kang Jinyuk pulls a blue pearl from the severed arm. Exactly what he was after. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara senses something's off. "Should have looked after your arm better." Kang Jinyuk activates his fusion skill. The moment Kang Jinyuk fused the Pelleros Princeton spellbook with the jewel of the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, the system popped up with a message, "You've unlocked the Golden Dawn's blade. The Limited boosts magical power to the max. At the same time, the eye of gluttony kicks in. As Kang Jinyuk checks the stats of the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, he figures out that copying an opponent's skill requires humiliating them with magic and crafting a magnificent ice sculpture. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "System, you're getting pretty creative." Then under the confused gaze of the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, Kang Jinyuk pulls out his mini gramophone again. Since the mandala skill can only be gained right here, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara wonders what Kang Jinyuk's up to. Kang Jinyuk just shrugs, saying, "Don't ask, I'm not thrilled about this either." He starts dancing to the music right in front of the boss, who's visibly irritated. Enraged, the boss immediately triggers the hidden mandala skill, aiming to finish Kang Jinyuk off. Weapons appear like magic, filling the air. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara yells. Diane launches a fierce assault. Meanwhile, after Solomon's upgrade, Kang Jinyuk's ice sculpture skill evolves into glacial sculpture. Just by raising his hand, towering glaciers surge forward in front of Kang Jinyuk. Those solid glaciers block every attack from the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, while Kang Jinyuk grins pleased with the glacial sculpture effect. The Avalokiteshvara grits his teeth. Nearby, Liko and his partner watch the intense fight from hiding, secretly impressed by Kang Jinyuk's power. Liko stands up but hesitates. Their objective is to take down Kang Jinyuk, but they also know the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara is basically the second boss of Floor 3. Kang Jinyuk. Matching him blow for blow means he's way out of their league. Melina whispers, "Can two of us really take him down?" Licho replies, "Not a chance." Melina starts to walk off, but Licho has another idea. If a fair fight won't work, it's time to play dirty. A coin, brimming with demonic energy, appears in his hand. The coin of Caligula capable of messing with a target's mind for a short time. Soon, dark energy swirls near Kang Jinyuk. Instantly, Kang Jinyuk feels a bad vibe creep over him. The next second, he's briefly distracted, and a blade slices across his thigh. Sharp pain forces Kang Jinyuk to grit his teeth, but also snaps him alert. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara sneers. Daring to lose focus against me, Kang Jinyuk fires back. Sorry. Instantly using a fire element skill to seal his wound and stop the bleeding won't let that happen again. And thanks for the wake-up call. Just then, the spellbook radiates a chilling cold as the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara strikes again. Kang Jinyuk activates glacial sculpture at the same time. Their powers clash perfectly, canceling each other out. But the Avalokiteshvara scoffs coldly, "You're way out of your league." Then the system alerts the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara has activated Heaven's Trap. A glowing net springs up, trapping Kang Jinyuk. Golden light pulses from the Avalokiteshvara's hands, shifting into arrows aimed at the trapped Kang Jinyuk. The cramped spot fills with relentless attacks. Kang Jinyuk instantly summons an iceberg with glacial sculpture. Suddenly, an icy fortress rises around him. Seeing Kang Jinyuk forced on defense, the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara reaches out to grab him. Squeezing hard, he triggers the Infinity Spear skill. The Infinity Spear slams into the iceberg, shattering it instantly. Confident Kang Jinyuk can't survive this. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara smirks until his expression shifts. "Looks like you fell for my trick again," Kang Jinyuk says, stepping out, completely unscathed. Suddenly, a cold light flashes from Kang Jinyuk's hand. In the next moment, massive ice crystals form beneath the Avalokiteshvara. In a flash, a glacial prison traps the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara tight. Kang Jinyuk mutters, "How can someone who trains both mind and body to boost strength turn their nose up at magic to heal you? I think nothing beats shock therapy." The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara flared up in anger, cursing loudly as he hurled Kang Jinyuk into an endless hell. At that moment, the goal of enraging the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara was achieved. You've successfully mastered the Mandala skill. Mandala empowers weapons with special abilities and lets you roughly predict where an opponent's attack will come from. Now that he's learned it, Kang Jinyuk tosses off his wig and uses Mandala to enchant a nearby ice sculpture. The 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara can hardly believe Kang Jinyuk is wielding his own skill. But hey, I'm going to make the most of Mandala from here on out. As for where you should head, well, just go there. Suddenly, a huge finger shoots toward the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara. Striking its chest instantly, a burst of green light erupts as the giant statue crumbles to dust. After toppling the 1,000-armed Avalokiteshvara, Kang Jinyuk picks up a golden lotus key, the stone pagoda key. This key can summon the boss of this floor anywhere on the 3rd level. Seeing he finally grabbed what he needed, Kang Jinyuk rubs his sore shoulders, feeling the toll of all these challenges. Still, all the battles have pushed him up to level 21 after pouring upgrade points into magical power. That finally helps ease his exhaustion a bit. But then it hits him something important. The Tower of Trials nights aren't normal. When night falls, the temperature drops sharply and monsters' attributes double. So every night, players either bail out of the tower or find a safe spot near a campfire to lay low. Kang Jin picks a riverside spot, planning to rest till sunrise. He's munching on giant shrimp, a local delicacy from the third-floor streams. The taste is so good, he decides to add cooking skills to his repertoire when the chance arises. Just then, he hears bamboo leaves rustle. A moment later, two figures appear, Li Chao and Melina. Thinking Kang Jinyuk hasn't seen them, they jump right in, saying that due to some mishap, they couldn't get off the third floor before dark. So they ask if they can borrow some fire to warm up. Kang Jinyuk has no problem with that. He jokes, "You two look like you're freezing," handing over a bowl of shrimp meat. Melina practically drools at the sight of the delicious food, but politely says, "Thanks for the kindness, really." Still, someone warned us not to accept food from strangers, especially masked ones. Kang Jinyuk grins. "If you're that worried about my mask, I don't mind taking it off." Seeing a chance to finally see the mysterious unknown face, Li Chao and Melina light up with anticipation. But then Kang Jinyuk says, "Hold up. Before that, let's play a game. We don't know each other, so it's natural to be curious. How about this? Each of us asks 3 questions, then I'll remove my mask. And hey, you don't have to be truthful in your answers." Lai thinks it's harmless and nods at Melina. With a humming sound, a coin flips and lands in Melina's palm. "Let's use this coin to decide who goes first. Sound good?" Melina guesses heads and lifts her finger. Sure enough, it's heads, feeling a faint, magical energy coming off it. Kang Jinyuk recognizes it as Caligula's coin. After use, it can briefly influence the holder's mind. Melina pauses, then asks, "Did you enter the tower with anyone else?" She wants to know if Kang Jinyuk has companions. He shakes his head. He's riding solo. Kang Jinyuk fires back. "You two seem here for the boss too, so why haven't you made your move yet?" Lai replies, "We're just waiting for the right moment. Taking on the boss isn't easy." Then comes the second question. "So handsome, why are you climbing the tower? What do you want, money, fame, or power?" Kang Jinyuk figures they're trying to size him up, maybe recruit him. He just smiles. "If I spill the beans, will you deliver? As long as our goals line up. The rewards will definitely blow your mind." His eyes narrow just a bit. "All right, last question. After you answer, I'll take off my mask. Here it is." So the Demonic Ones Association really thinks it's just going to be you two handling me. Melina smirks slyly at the words. "So you'd been on to us the whole time, huh? I knew you were strong, but beating the 1,000-armed Aloki Teshvara, didn't expect that, but that fight must have drained you too." "Right. Without your recovered status, your power is taking a big hit. Just 1 coin should be enough to finish you off." Then, Melina tries to activate Caligula's coin to invade Kang Jinyuk's mind, but everything suddenly goes dead silent. Nothing happens. Leah shouts, "Melina, what are you doing?" But Melina just says, "This thing's busted. Doesn't work." No way Caligula's coin isn't broken. Under the shadow of Anubis' judgment, Kang Jinyuk mutters, "You just lost your magic power." That shocks Li Chao, who yells switch to plan B, but without magic, Melina's hands are tied. Kang Jinyuk places the shrimp meat on a stone slab. The system pings, "The shrine spirits accept your offering. Choose the target for Anubis' judgment. You've selected the totem, the great general of the world. You've selected the totem, the great general of the underworld." Suddenly, bizarre monsters appear, things no one's seen before. Lai Chao and his team's faces drain. These were the guardian gods of the land, the great general of the world, and the great general of the underworld. Right then. Lai Chao finally gets it. The whole thing was just a setup to summon these two from the moment that dish was made. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk lounges nearby watching. He warns, "Don't make any dumb moves, you're not getting away anyway." As he speaks, the great general of the underworld activates access denied, sealing off Lai Chao and his crew with a barrier. Li Chao knows their only shot is to take down Kang Jinyuk, which would make the monsters vanish. Kang Jinyuk warns again, "Don't rush into this." Meanwhile, the great general of the world fires up exemplary punishment. A giant hand crashes down onto Li Chao with a thunderous slap. He's knocked flat, his glasses shattering as he screams in pain. Melina freezes, cold sweat streaking down her face. Kang Jinyuk steps up behind her. It's crystal clear who's boss. "Now, let's talk." But when he activates his Eye of Gluttony, the system dings that it's canceled too big a level gap. Kang Jinyuk is stunned. "Did my luck stat fail me?" He presses. You humans know you won't make it up the tower and humanity's doomed. So why bother blocking players climbing the tower? Just as Melina opens her mouth, Li Chao cuts her off. Right as the great general of the world raises his massive hand again, he slams down and flattens the man. Melina freaks out and collapses. Kang Jinyuk sneers, "Anyone dreaming of killing me doesn't deserve to exist. That's my rule. But if you spill some useful info, I might let you live." So why did the demonic ones block players from climbing the tower? Melina, terrified, quickly spills what she knows. "The guy who ordered us to kill you, I don't even know his real name. But everyone calls him Lancelot. There are 11 other leaders, but I'm with the assassination team, so I don't have all the details." Kang Jinyuk activates his Eye of Gluttony again, and the system confirms Melina's story checks out. She keeps going. "They say if we gather all 12 cursed legendary relics inside the tower, even if humanity falls, we survive unharmed and score massive rewards. That's all I know." Kang Jinyuk immediately connects the dots. He never thought the demonic ones were actually trying to summon the Demon King. This crew was crazier than he'd imagined. Still, he couldn't wrap his head around how they'd survive if humanity truly vanished. When Melina asks if she can leave, Kang Jinyuk replies, "Not yet. Don't worry, I'll keep my word, but you need to sign a contract with me first." Melina stared in confusion as she watched magical energy gathering in Kang Jin's hand. He triggered the brand of obedience. Kang Jinyuk smirked darkly and said, "This contract means you answer to me and only me from now on." Beads of cold sweat formed on Melina's forehead, but honestly, this was way better than dying. Tearfully, she had no choice but to accept it. The next day arrived time to get down to business. Kang Jinyuk pulled out the stone pagoda key he'd snagged earlier and activated it immediately. A moment later, a blast of magic shot straight into the sky. Then the system announced, "The master of the 3rd floor has answered your call." As the huge door swung open, countless stone statue soldiers marched out. Suddenly a voice boomed, "Who dares disturb my rest?" It was Muhan, the 3rd floor boss. Kang Jin then activated his Eye of Gluttony. But because of the big level gap, he only gathered bits of info and couldn't copy Muhan's skills. Muhan went on, "Lots of humans have tried to take on my army. You're the first to summon me with a key, but where's your army?" Kang Jin flashed a cold smile. "My army," he said, as a blue glow appeared. The system chimed. "You've summoned the first chessboard with 2,851 magical chess pieces." Muhan chuckled. "Ice magic, huh? That's clever. Using that, you can basically be an army all by yourself. But what do you plan to do with those little guys?" Kang Jinyuk smiled back. "Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm not done yet." Just then, the system announced you used 2,851 enlargement pills on your magical chess pieces. Those chess pieces instantly grew to match the size of the enemy soldiers. Muhan said calmly, "I have to admit you're different from other humans who've come before." Kang Jinyuk stood confidently among his troops. "You have the nerve to judge me." Muhan frowned. "What do you mean?" Kid Kang Jinyuk sneered. "It's because you're weak that you've been stuck on the 3rd floor all this time. The tower bosses guard each level, but they also strengthen themselves by pushing further up the tower like challengers." Muhan laughed and said, "You really think I avoid the 4th floor because I'm weak? What, aren't you just some earthbound spirit from the 3rd floor? Fine, think whatever you want. Whether you're trying to mess with my head or have other tricks, it makes no difference. With my overwhelming forces and superior tactics, your fate is sealed death." As he spoke, the 1st Battalion stepped forward. Then, thousands of terracotta soldiers sprang to life, charging ahead. Kang Jinyuk recognized this as a scouting attack. He activated his skill. The system said, "First chessboard ability activated. All friendly chess pieces gain 30% boost to attack and defense." At the same time, Kang Jinyuk spread his chess pieces wide on both flanks. Amid thunderous footsteps, the chess pieces triggered their steel endurance skill. The two armies collided, and the battle erupted instantly, but Kang Jinyuk wasn't done attacking. The rook pieces launched an arrow barrage. Arrows zipped through the air, cutting down countless terracotta soldiers, even as some shield bearers raised their defenses. The next moment, the bishop pieces unleashed flame strike. Waves of fire surged after the arrows, dismantling Muhan's 1st Battalion in an instant. His fighting spirit flared. "Then send in battalions 2 and 3. More terracotta soldiers stepped forward. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk led 2 cavalry units in a break toward the left flank. At the same time, the knight pieces activated wedge formation, doubling damage during combat. As Kang Jinyuk charged full speed on horseback, he shouted, "Take them out fast and clean." His cavalry crash brought brutal slaughter. Muhan calmly analyzed the battle. He had to admit he had seriously underestimated Kang Jinyuk's command skills. Kang Jinyuk's seamless offense-defense shifts were flawless, and his timing, commanding the battlefield, was spot on. But what about that gap appearing on Kang Jinyuk's army flank? Though it looked like bait, it was tempting enough. The system chimed in, "Muhan has triggered weakness detection." He instantly gained detailed intel on Kang Jinyuk's formation. He just needed to take down the crown at the top of the chessboard to freeze all the opponent's pieces. Only the king or queen could wear the crown. Muhan grinned. "If I destroy the crown, I can checkmate Kang Jinyuk directly. Easy." Yet his eyes sharpened. He sensed this bait wasn't as simple as it seemed. Another setup was waiting for him to fall into. Just then, with a soft trampling sound, carrying herself gracefully, and wearing a crown like a queen, making her grand entrance, came the chessboard's Queen Alice. Since the enemy had revealed their move, Muhan immediately unleashed a battalion of terracotta soldiers to test Kang Jinyuk's trap. This time he sent out 3,000 soldiers, each towering 15 meters tall, all charging directly at Alice. But Kang Jinyuk quietly ordered, "Attack." Ignoring Muhan's plan, his troops rushed straight at Muhan. Muhan smiled, having seen through every one of Kang Jinyuk's tricks. Kang Jinyuk had deliberately left a weak spot in his base to lure an attack, setting a trap aimed at the crown, all to thin his defenses and create a chance for a knockout strike. But so what? The battle already shifted as both sides clashed. Giant terracotta soldiers grabbed smaller ones and hurled them forcefully into the heart of Kang Jinyuk's lines. Suddenly, a hail of terracotta soldiers rained down from above. Flying stones scattered, smashing near Alice. When the dust settled, Alice was encircled by layers of terracotta soldiers. She glared at the mud around her with obvious disgust. Muhan let out a cold chuckle. Checkmate. Game over. Still with victory near, Muhan tensed up. It was weird that Kang Jinyuk remained calm despite the raid on his base. But, judging by the troop numbers, Muhan had the upper hand, and had pulled Kang Jinyuk deep into his territory. Now was the time to close in and finish him. In a flash, summoning magic flared. Two massive statues appeared out of nowhere, David and Yukuzma. They locked their hatred onto Kang Jinyuk immediately, yet the worsening situation didn't faze him. Instead, he smiled. Despite losing ground, there was still hope. First, before going after the boss, Kang Jinyuk had talked things over with Alice about whether she could defend the base alone. Alice said, "Of course, no problem." Honestly, she worried more about whether Kang Jinyuk could handle things. After all, he earned his spot guarding the third floor's gate for a reason. Kang Jinyuk admitted this was the first time he'd ever heard Alice praise someone else. Could that someone be stronger than her? Alice clenched her teeth. "If I hadn't been banished to the third floor corridor..." "Never mind, won't bring it up. Anyway, I'm on base camp watch right now. Just the third floor. Never mind, I won't harp on it. Either way, I'll keep an eye on the base camp. Right now." The puppets storming the base camp wasted no time launching their attack on Alice. Blood-red energy flared in her hands as she triggered her skill blood spears. In an instant, the blood orbs morphed into sharp crimson spears that shot straight at the surrounding puppets. As they shattered and fell apart, Alice activated another skill blood explosion. A bunch of weaker foes dropped instantly. Bloody blasts burst violently, engulfing all nearby puppets in a fiery crimson glow. When Alice landed, she let out a cold snort, having wiped out every puppet that had surrounded her. Muhan stood there stunned. He never expected someone who looked like a little girl to pack so much power. Kang Jinyuk seized the moment to taunt, "Don't get shocked. The biggest mistake you made was letting me slip into your formation." The system popped up a notification, Blood Demon Spirit activated. The Blood Demon Spirit synced with the Black Leaf. "You've gained a new equipment attribute, Mental Breakdown, which messes with enemies' minds, making them unable to tell friend from foe." Kang Jinyuk poured his chaotic mental breakdown aura into the spear he held. Suddenly he swung it fiercely. A purple glow exploded across the battlefield as the spear cut through the air. The terracotta soldier's eyes lit up purple, and just like that, Okuzma switched sides. Without hesitation, Kang Jinyuk slapped David hard across the face, as if saying, "I've had enough of you," seeing his army thrown into chaos. Muhan completely lost his cool. At that moment, Kang Jinyuk shouted, "Earthbound spirit, quit being such a scaredy cat. You're acting like a clown." Meanwhile, he activated his frost sculpture skill, blocking Muhan's escape path. Gritting his teeth, Muhan left his troops behind to stall and tried to break free. But the huge statue standing in his way caught Muhan off guard. Kang Jinyuk stayed sharp and used his Mandalola skill along with the frost sculpture. In a flash, the frozen statue morphed into a bow and the mandala became an arrow. The system chimed, "Frost sculpture and mandala have synchronized." This was game over. A golden beam shot forward, slicing through the colossal puppet. The golden arrow also flew straight for Muhan's back. For a moment, a blinding light pierced Muhan's chest. Golden light swirled with ice crystals wrapping tightly around him. Suddenly, a roaring blast erupted around Muhan. The system announced boss on the 3rd floor Muhan defeated. The 4th floor of the Tower of Trials is now unlocked. You have 90 days to conquer the next level. Countdown starts now. Everyone beamed as the system message appeared. But Kang Jinyuk just gave a, "That's all, look more curious about the loot the boss would drop." While the system repeatedly notified him of leveling up Kang Jin, Yuk's eyes sparkled. He'd actually earned an orange treasure chest. Usually, chests from the first 10 floors were only red grade, but this high-tier chest meant Kang Jinyuk's unique skill had kicked in, guaranteeing the best rewards. Moments later, the chest popped open. You got a pink diamond. You also received priority selection rights and more. As the system rattled off item pickups, Kang Jinyuk grinned. Now this is some sweet loot. Yet. His smile faded when he spotted the final item, the Solar Eclipse Stone. This rare item could heavily impact the upcoming 4th floor. Watching Kang Jinyuk's sly grin, Alice could only shake her head whenever she saw that look on his face. She never liked it, but oddly, he wasn't too annoying. Meanwhile, representatives from top guilds all gathered. Unknown had just solo cleared the 3rd floor that had stumped them all, stirring up a whirlwind of mixed emotions. On the bright side, this reset the 90-day countdown for each floor, easing the pressure on those fighting to save humanity. But Tan Wei wore a sour expression. Unknown's solo clear didn't help the guilds at all. Not only did they miss out on boss loot, but their prestige took a hit, being overshadowed by a lone player. Hearing this, Teresa snapped at Tony, "What are you even talking about? We were basically forced to team up with demons before." Unknown finally cleared the floor and saved everyone. Then she glanced at Park Jinho Maria and the other guild reps. But when she got nothing but silence, Teresa's expression darkened. She realized these people cared more about themselves than humanity as a whole. "Fine then, I'm officially stepping down from the conference today." Hearing this, Maria panicked. She'd worked hard to get Teresa into the conference, and now she wanted out. Maria argued, but Patrick stepped in. "This isn't somewhere you can just quit whenever. The conference is for the strongest, the best working to protect humanity. Once you leave, there's no going back." "Do you really trust that guy that much?" "Right." Then the door swung open without warning. "Yeah, I do. I trust him with my life." Kang Jinyuk was finally getting a rare break when his phone rang. It was Yu Yona on the line. Her voice was barely above a whisper, telling him her grandfather was gravely ill. When she asked for his help, Kang Jinyuk didn't waste time. He grabbed the address, ready to rush over. From what he remembered, Yu Yona's grandfather was Yu Chongyong, a legendary martial artist with a huge reputation in the country. Kang Jinyuk always thought of Yu Yona as a tough, optimistic woman. But when he saw her now, it was like looking at a scared kid. He asked her to explain what happened. Yu Yona said that when the Tower of Trials first appeared in the world, monsters poured out from the tower. Her grandfather had awakened during the chaos and took down all the creatures, but got badly hurt himself. His condition worsened day by day, and now he was unconscious in the hospital. Looking at Yu Chongyong lying in that bed, Kang Jinyuk activated his Eye of Truth and immediately accessed Yu's attribute panel. Honestly, it was incredible. This kind of panel showing up in someone who hadn't even entered the tower was nothing short of amazing. The only way Kang Jinyuk could copy his skills was by saving Yu Chongyong's badly damaged life. Just then, another person stepped into the room. Hey Ujinsu, the healer, in charge of Yu Chongyong's care. But he quickly said that even someone at Kang Jinyuk's S rank probably wouldn't be able to do much for Yu's condition. Hearing that and sensing the guy thought he was all talk, Kang Jinyuk said bluntly that he was an old friend of Yu Yona's and wanted to help however he could. Hey, Ujinsu chuckled and told him he was overestimating himself, assuming Kang Jinyuk had some medical expertise. But then, Yu Yona snapped coldly, saying she had no choice but to call Kang Jinyuk. Meanwhile, the so-called professionals had been treating her grandfather for days with zero results. There's nothing they can do. The symptoms trace back to the Tower of Trials and regular treatments just don't work, she said. Please calm down, Kang Jinyuk urged. The room fell silent for a moment. Yu Yona apologized for getting emotional and, after speaking, was about to leave the room with Kang Jinyuk, but then he activated his Eye of Gluttony. Rage filled his eyes. The mind-reading ability linked to that eye let him hear, Hey Ujinsu's thoughts. The truth was out. How did a master suddenly appear? Damn it. How much longer do we need to fake this treatment? Hey, Ujinsu also thought of a new method, but it would cost a small fortune. Yu Yona immediately said money was no issue. She'd even sell all her family's martial arts schools if she had to. Hearing that, Hei Ujinsu muttered, "Good." But in the next second, Kang Jinyuk snapped, "What are you talking about, you shameless con artist?" Everyone else panicked and stepped in front of Kang Jinyuk, asking, "What are you saying?" Hei Ujinsu shot back, "Kang Jinyuk, are you accusing me? Even if you're Yu Yona's friend in S rank, you can't spout nonsense." But inside he was thinking, this guy's testing me. Even if I get exposed, no big deal. I've already spread my fake accounts and crypto wallets across 7 different places. Not even the gods could track them down. So you really do have fake accounts and crypto wallets, huh? Hey, Ujinsu's face drained. You've got no proof for these wild accusations. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk wondered, how much does this guy know? Would he even be aware that the Black Cloud Guild has ties with the Tower Dwellers? Hearing that, Kang Jinyuk froze. Tower Dwellers. People inside the tower actually had contact and deals with outsiders. The moment his secret was out, hey, Ujinsu bolted or tried to. But then there was a loud bang. Yu Yona slammed the door shut with her foot and said coldly, "Fine, you dare trick me, I'll break your legs." Right then, Kang Jinyuk whispered, "Yona, calm down. The most pressing issue right now is how to care for your grandfather." Seeing this, the conniving Dr. Hai Jin-soo realized his chance to survive had arrived. So, he quickly claimed that Yu Qinyong was still alive thanks to him. He needed to step out and get some medicine, so they shouldn't be ungrateful. Seeing this guy still trying to fool them at a time like this, Kang Jinyuk just said, "Sorry, Yunhwa, I've changed my mind. You really should give him a good kick." Without hesitation, Yu Yunhwa swung a full spinning Thomas sidekick right into that jerk's face. Kang Jinyuk frowned, glancing over at the seriously ill Yu Chongyong. Yu Chongyong was suffering from magical power rampage syndrome. For an average person, reaching this stage would be a death sentence. But Kang Jinyuk had a treatment. As he spoke, a blue glow appeared in his palm. Seeing what Kang Jinyuk held, the scoundrel's eyes widened. He recognized it as the legendary healing artifact, the elixir. Kang Jinyuk grinned. The elixir's healing power was incredible, and its worth was off the charts. Using it on someone like Yu Chongyong, whom he barely knew, was over the top. But once he healed Yu Chongyong, he could copy his amazing skills. This trade was totally worth it. With that in mind, Kang Jinyuk poured the elixir onto Yu Chongyong. For a moment, a blue light wrapped around Yu Chongyong. Although it looked painful, his symptoms soon vanished completely. Yu Yunhwa couldn't hold back tears of joy. At the same time, the system popped up a message. You've met the criteria to copy a skill. You've acquired pure meditation. Pure meditation lets you draw magical energy from the air and boosts mana recovery speed by 30%. While Kang Jinyuk and the others focused on Yu Chongyong, Hai Jinsu was already plotting to slip away, but Kang Jinyuk spun around and kicked him. "Come with me somewhere quiet. I need to ask you something." They headed to a storage room. In a low voice, Kang Jinyuk said, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. Just pay back the money you swindled from Yu Yunhwa." Hearing such a lenient condition, Heo Jinsu was stunned. Nobody else would give him a break like this. But before he could think it through, Kang Jinyuk added, "Of course, if you don't want to live, I'm not opposed to killing you." Meanwhile, Yu Yunhwa's phone buzzed with a transfer notification. Outside the hospital, Ho Jinsu was bolting away in a panic. He hadn't expected Kang Jinyuk to really let him off the hook. Watching from the rooftop, Alice, perched on Kang Jinyuk's shoulder, looked a little confused. "You just let him go just like that?" she asked. "Not exactly. A nobody like him isn't worth much info. Alice, tail him. Find out where he hides and who he meets." Hearing she got to head out, Alice shot off 100 meters in a flash. Kang Jinyuk smiled in amusement, shaking his head. He still had stuff to handle. Soon, Kang Jinyuk used the excuse of checking the elixir's absorption to send Yu Yunhwa away. Watching Yu Chongyong still resting, he said, "Now that it's just us. Old man, sit up and talk." Surprising everyone, Yu Chongyong opened his eyes from the hospital bed. "You knew I was awake. I thought I'd hidden it well, but I wasn't trying to trick you. I get it when someone's got an incurable disease, and a stranger suddenly cures them. It's natural to be cautious." Yu Chongyong smiled. "Young man, you're sharp. You said exactly what I was thinking. I'm a bit too shy to say more." Learning of Kang Jinyuk's close bonds with his granddaughter and that he had questions, Yu Chongyong said, "Go ahead, ask anything." Kang Jinyuk queried, "I want to know everything that happened during the crisis, especially when you faced those monster attacks inside the tower." Yu Chongyong touched the scars on his body and started to share his memories. That day he was heading to a martial arts conference, when suddenly the Tower of Trials invaded reality. The space around him trembled, and a deep purple portal tore open out of nowhere. From it spilled countless monsters. To protect the weak, Yu Chongyong stepped up without hesitation, but As he held off the low-level monsters to give others a chance to escape, he suddenly heard a voice say, "Interesting. Someone actually stepped out from among the monsters." That guy glanced at Yu Chongyong and whispered, "Didn't expect to find someone useful among outsiders? Mind if I mess around with you for a bit?" Yu Chongyong got hit by him, and this guy was insanely fast, way faster than Yu could handle, and just one sword strike left him badly hurt. Thinking back to that terrifying moment sent chills down Yu Chongyong's spine. When Kang Jinyuk heard this, his face grew serious. Based on Yu Chongyong's description, long hair, old-fashioned clothes, and expert sword skills, Kang couldn't help but think of the martial groups from the 21st floor of the tower. He just never thought those guys would actually step outside the tower, and knowing their shady methods to get what they want. Kang Jinyuk realized things were about to get complicated, but what were they after? That question lingered. So Kang Jinyuk straightforwardly told Yu Chongyong that the attacker was probably someone living in the tower. Yu Chongyong showed some worry, but quickly shrugged it off and said, "I heard you've known my Yona for quite a while." Kang Jinyuk nodded. "Yeah, old friends." Yu Chongyong smirked. "Then how about I give you my granddaughter's hand?" Hearing that Kang Jinyuk was speechless. Before he could say no, Yu Chongyong added, "I've been around long enough to figure people out. They say it takes 10,000 hours to master anything. I buy into that. The Tower of Trials has only been around a few months. Yet these so-called awakened folks call themselves experts. Honestly, they don't deserve the title, but you're different. How to explain it? I can tell you carry the weight of countless battles you've been through, hardships and trials most can't imagine." Kang Jinyuk thought about his 50,000 hours logged in games and replied modestly, "Come on, it's not that big a deal. I just played a bit longer." Seeing Kang downplay himself, Yu Chongyong said honestly, "Either way, I owe you one. Got anything you want?" The chance to get favor from one of the country's top martial arts families, Kang Jinyuk couldn't help but smile. "Really, anything at all. Just name it." Not long after Kang Jinyuk left the room. After telling Yona her grandfather was fine, Yona shyly said she didn't know how to thank Kang Jinyuk, but he just smiled warmly. "Don't mention it, Yona. Your grandfather already showed me plenty of gratitude." Later in the ward, thinking about Kang Jinyuk's unusual request, Yu Chongyong couldn't hold back tears. He hadn't expected him to ask for something like that. Meanwhile, Kang Jinyuk went to the city's top hotel. He wasn't too busy, so he figured it was time for a break. After ordering a spread of tasty food, Kang Jinyuk switched on the TV, grabbed his knife and fork ready to savor this rare moment of downtime. Just a few months ago, instant noodles were his only meal. On TV, a live stream about Tower of Trial strategies was playing. The guest this time was Jang Onash, a pro from the top-tier Donggang Guild. Jang Onak was there mainly to share tips on boosting strength for general players. Besides leveling up skills, using coins earned in the tower to buy the right gear was also a key tactic. But before Jang Onak could drone on, Alice noticed Kang Jinyuk was scarfing down food so fast she barely got a bite. After finishing, Kang Jinyuk leaned back to relax. Alice grinned cheekily, popped open a bottle of wine, and decided to enjoy some junk TV along with her drink. Just then, Jang Onak was asked why no players had entered, since Unknown cleared the 4th floor. Jang Onak explained the 4th floor was a special dungeon with 100 massive waves, and the key to winning was grabbing the strategic points early and holding them strong. But if all the players failed to hold their spots, the whole 4th floor would lock down for 20 days. Each floor had a conquest time limit of 90 days. Too many lockdowns due to poor preparation meant big risks going forward. So, even though Unknown had cleared the 3rd floor and had first pick on strategic spots, the reason he hadn't moved in yet was probably because of this. At that moment, the host was also asking if humanity really faced extinction if they went past 90 days, given the tower system's priority over world rules. Humanity did actually stand a chance of disappearing. The interview wrapped up soon after, and the host asked if Jong-un had some time. Jong-un nodded. According to the guests, Unknown would need at least a month to prepare before tackling the 4th floor. So, he had plenty of time to get ready and even take the host out for some fun. But just as Jang-un climbed into the car, the system announced, "Player Unknown is declaring conquest of the 4th floor. All players aiming for the 4th floor get ready. The first battle will start in 8 hours." Hearing this, the only sound was the car's engine revving hard. Jang Unach immediately pulled up the guild system and sent out an urgent alert. All top players gather at once to prepare for the 4th floor battle. At that moment, Jang Unach was frozen. He never expected Unknown to announce moving up so fast, meaning they had just 8 hours to gear up. Unknown was nuts. Meanwhile, as the morning sun rose, Kang Jinyuk slowly got out of bed. This time, he'd actually slept well. All right, Alice, time to get moving. At that moment, there was only 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 51 seconds left before the first wave started. The fourth floor was a special boss challenge where players had to survive 100 waves of zombies, both normal and special types, to clear it. The game system gave 2 ways to resist first. Players could build defense towers mixing over 1,000 different combinations as smartly as possible. Second, they could choose strongholds that offered solid defense. But as the main character, Kang Jinyuk, had something else in mind: system notification. Congrats on being the first to enter the 4th floor of the Tower of Trials. Other players will join in 20 minutes. Ignoring that, Kang Jinyuk headed straight for the abandoned stadium, the Sangam World Cup Stadium. This stadium was a rare stronghold on the entire 4th floor and exactly why Kang Jinyuk came here. He wanted to use his priority right to claim this stronghold first. System notification. Stronghold occupied successfully. You scattered soy grain, planted 5 solar seeds, and used natural water. Plant growth speed increased by 20%. While Kang Jinyuk was getting the stronghold ready, other players started entering the 4th floor one after another. At this point, his brothers showed up. Yu Yunhua and Lee Taemin came to team up with Kang Jinyuk by his invitation. Also, it had been a while since Jinyuk saw Saint Teresa. Meanwhile, others noticed Kang Jinyuk's group gathering. It didn't matter if they glanced or not. But once they saw them, they were shocked. Wait, are these all famous players? Yu Yunhua and Lee Taemin were a bit surprised that a celebrity player like Teresa had joined too. Teresa openly said she'd left her guild, so now she was free to move as she pleased. And since it was Kang Jinyuk who invited her, she didn't mind at all. In fact, she actually liked being on Kang Jinyuk's team. Soon Kang Jinyuk gave a quick rundown of why he gathered everyone, mainly to build a squad and hold the stronghold he picked. Still, Yu Yunhua and Lee Taemin looked a bit uneasy hearing this. When the zombie horde hits, it's going to be waves on waves like mountains meeting seas. Can just a handful of us really handle that? What's the big deal? The harder it is, the more fun, right? And I specifically chose the stadium as our base. It can't be the Sangam Stadium, can it? That place is huge, needs at least 100 defenders. My friend, this isn't like those online games we used to play. If you die here, it's game over for real. Watching these guys bicker, Teresa just wanted to say, why does Jinyuk act so weird? Anyway, trust me, this stadium's the best spot to hold. But, Jinyuk, I've got a question. As far as I know, stronghold defense needs at least 5 people. Right. That stadium makes the best stronghold spot. But Jinyuk, here's something I've been wondering. Doesn't stronghold defense need at least 5 players or more? Looks like we're down to just 4 people now, huh? Kang Jinyuk replied, don't sweat it. The last teammate will show up any minute. Right after he said that, someone dropped down from above radiating pure killer vibes. It was Qian Yuang. The moment he spotted Kang Jinyuk, he drew his sword without hesitation. He was furious because of something Kang Jinyuk had said not long ago. Just last night, Qian Yuang was grinding away in the Tower of Trials dungeon. Everything had been going smoothly, and he hadn't planned on hitting the 4th floor so soon. But then he got a sudden message that caught him off guard. He never expected Kang Jinyuk to shoot him a private message, but the tone was so bossy it rubbed him the wrong way. Qian Yuang didn't see himself as a slave, just a rival who had lost. When he didn't reply for a while, Kang Jinyuk sent another message dripping with arrogance. If you show up now, I'll fight without using my left arm or right leg. Qian Yuang knew Kang Jinyuk's style all too well. He wouldn't do anything unless there was something to gain. So Kang Jinyuk kept throwing challenge after challenge at Qian Yuang. Even though Qian Yuang kept holding back, one message finally broke him down. Scared you can kill, sure, but you'll never humiliate me. How could a macho guy like him just take that? So with his Qian longsword in hand, Qian Yuang headed to the spot Kang Jinyuk had set. He became the 5th teammate Kang Jinyuk tricked into joining. Kang Jinyuk eyed Qian Yuang's sword closely. The Qian Long was no joke. A weapon that fired ranged elemental magic attacks, making up for the sword user's usual weakness at a distance. Flying in front of Kang Jinyuk, Qian Yuang yelled, "Today I'll prove I'm not scared." Kang Jinyuk calmly reminded him that sword's still only a half-finished model. Sure, it packs a punch as is, but only the finished version unleashes its true might. And guess what? The random treasure chest on the 4th floor might just have the components we need to upgrade it, including the fire attribute you want. Burning with frustration, Qian Yuang fired back at Kang Jinyuk's promises one after another. Everyone knew the chance to get the random treasure chest was insanely low, but Kang Jinyuk, who had the Monopoly passive, actually had a guaranteed 100% success rate. Plus, Kang Jinyuk promised Chen Yuang that if he joined the team's defense, he'd earn those fire attribute parts, and they'd battle again after clearing the 4th floor. After hearing Kang Jinyuk's pitches, Chen Yuang finally sheathed his Qian Long. With Chen Yuang on board, they met the quota for their defense squad, but Teresa felt uneasy about this. Worried Chen Yuang might pull something sneaky on Kang Jinyuk, but Kang Jinyuk wasn't worried one bit, calling Chen Yuang a straightforward and honorable guy. Then Yu Yonghua remembered something and started digging through her stuff. She pulled out an item wrapped tightly in black cloth strips. Unwrapping it revealed the twin dragon sword that Qian Yuang had promised to pass down a family heirloom. The magic power in that sword was on par with legendary relics. Yu Yonghua couldn't help but wonder how Kang Jinyuk convinced her grandfather to part with something so valuable. Besides trusting Kang Jinyuk, Qian Yuang naturally wanted a solid future for his granddaughter through a good match. Back at the base, Kang Jinyuk sat down with the 4 others to plan their battle strategy. Qian Yuang cursed silently under his breath, so he was just another pawn. Come on, Kang Jinyuk, be a decent guy, he thought. Meanwhile, at Sanam Stadium, which Kang Jinyuk controlled, a group of uninvited guests had already gathered, drawn by one guy's sword. The blade's pattern sparked a realization in Kang Jinyuk. This guy was clearly an NPC from the game, but he was hiding his true identity and pretending to be a player. But Kang Jinyuk, with just a quick glance at the sword's markings, recognized him as part of the martial arts faction from the 21st floor of the Tower of Trials. He had no idea why the other guy was after him. All these guys were cocky nuts with sky-high egos. But Kang Jinyuk not scared at all. So when the man introduced himself as Nam Gong-hyun, Kang Jinyuk shot back, "You should keep your mouth shut instead." The Namong family crowd was infamous for being a little off. That's what he said. And Nam Gong-hyun was caught off guard. What did you just call me, you jerk? Teresa asked if Kang Jinyuk knew them. Kang Jinyuk said, yeah, he used to. Seeing Jinyuk not only insult him but also ignore him, Nam Gong-hyun was about to lose it. But before he could throw some harsh words, Kang Jinyuk cut him off. Don't tell me you're about to say, who do you think you are? How dare you trash talk our Nam Gong family? I'll wipe out your entire line. If that's your plan, just zip it. I'm done listening. Nam Gong-hyun clenched his teeth, furious. Damn, no clue how you know me, but you've got some nerve talking smack about our family. Kid, you'll pay for this. In a flash, Nam Gong-hyun drew his sword, and right in front of Kang Jinyuk appeared his attribute panel. System alert. Martial artists hiding within the triad detected. Expose every hidden member to learn and copy their skills. Kang Jinyuk's heart skipped a beat, so there was more than one fighter in this crew. The setup looked solid, but he was still clueless about their real game. Either way, they basically handed him a chance to copy some rare skills too good to pass up. Kang Jinyuk told the others to get ready to throw down. In an instant, the two groups clashed and the fight kicked off. Lee Taemin switched on his mechanical king skill, instantly summoning a giant tank to bombard the enemy from afar. Yu Yanhwa used no retreat, which meant she couldn't fall back but gained 15% less damage, perfect for tanking for the team. Teresa jumped into battle, moving swiftly to protect everyone's backs. Kang Jinyuk turned to Qian Yusong and said, give me 3 minutes to pull something major off with these guys. Can you hold them off? Qian Yusong just laughed. 3 minutes, no problem. You'll have them all down before then. During the fight, Teresa activated Battle Song and Divine Reinforcement, boosting the whole team's stats for 10 minutes. Suddenly, Lee Taemin's artillery hit harder than ever. Yu Yanhwa swept through the battlefield like the Grim Reaper, and Teresa was like a well-rounded powerhouse. Nam Gong-hyun could feel the gap widening between the two sides. He knew he had to act fast. As Qian Yuang cut through their ranks, Nam Gong-hyun taunted, not all of you are useless after all. Suddenly, a sword flashed, and a man appeared right in front of Qian Yuang. It was Nam Gong-hyun, waiting for his moment. Looks like you know your way around a sword, but that's about as far as it goes. Still, I'll be generous and let you, this ruthless mixed swordsman, see what real swordplay from our family looks like. Sword energy exploded from Nam Gong-hyun's entire body. Without hesitation, he unleashed his imperial sword form, striking hard at Qian Yuang. Qian Yuang's face darkened as he felt crushing pressure. One move was all it took. His defense shattered. Nam Gong-hyun seized his chance, aiming the sword straight at Qian Yuang's face. But just then, Teresa stepped in, blocking the blow by a hair. Kang Jinyuk rejoined the fight, nodding at Teresa. Nice save! Kang Jinyuk unleashed fire element, sending waves of flames rolling in to surround Nam Gong-hyun. But to Nam Gong-hyun, this was just cheap tricks, unworthy of his respect. Kang Jinyuk suddenly leapt into the air. Nam Gong-hyun thought perfect midair with no footing, hard to dodge. The guy's practically throwing his life away. But just as he moved to strike, Suddenly, one of his feet froze solid to the ground, stopping him in his tracks. Don't you know even a dying fire deserves a second look? Kang Jinyuk sneered, activating his skill Daylight. Bright waves of light shot straight from his hands toward Namong-hyun. Just as Namong-hyun braced himself to take the hit head-on, someone jumped into the fray, unleashing the cross-slash skill. A giant cross of blood-red light flashed right in front of Namong-hyun, blocking Kang Jinyuk's strike. Watching this, Kang Jinyuk's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't expected that move to stop Namong-hyun cold. Still, the main goal was to draw out other fighters like this. At that moment, Namong-hyun glanced at the man who appeared beside him and whispered, "Big brother, system notification. You completed the mission. You've copied the skill. Unlimited steps." Then, Kang Jinyuk combined unlimited steps with the skill Grave of Swords. System message. You've unlocked the skill Sword Steps of the King. This skill boosts movement speed by 70% and doubles as an attack technique. Seeing this top-tier skill, Kang Jinyuk grinned wide. He hit the jackpot this time. At that moment, a new guy with spiky hair asked his younger brother if he was hurt back there. Everyone else teased even our brother Hai has his off days. Bet that was fun to watch. Hearing this, Namong-hyun looked annoyed but stubborn. If you guys had helped earlier, I could have handled him myself. Anyway, enough arguing. Don't forget the sect leader sent us to recruit that guy, not take him out. Still, Namong-hyun shook his head upon hearing this. This was probably a lost cause since that guy already knew they weren't players but came from inside the tower. The others looked surprised. This was unexpected, so I've been annoyed with that kid for a while now. If we can't recruit him, maybe we should just take him out. But hold up, I know you're angry, but we need to move. The zombie wave has already broken out. The tide hits in 3 minutes. Kang Jinyuk hurried everyone to get where they needed to be. This arena's our turf. Listen up, kid, don't get cocky. We wouldn't want some trashy stronghold like this arena even if you handed it to us. Our place is 10,000 times better than yours. Hope you survived the first wave. We'll be back. With that, the triad started pulling back. Still, Kang Jinyuk kept his eyes locked on their retreat path. They'd chosen a massive supermarket surrounded by high walls stocked with plenty of supplies. Yep, a solid stronghold. But it had one huge weakness. We'll see about that. Next, Lee Tae-min deployed drones to scout the area. He reported back zombie tides almost on them rolling in like a sea of undead. Manhwa asked Kang Jinyuk if he was just looking for a thrill. Don't worry, Kang Jinyuk said. The solar plants I set up are way tougher than your typical zombie waves. Teresa was blown away. It was the first time she'd seen such a massive plant tower. Anyway, let me break down my battle plan first. Our mission is to stop the zombie horde from capturing the flag right in the middle of the arena. The arena has 4 gates east, southwest, and north. I've set up solar plants at each entrance. With their energy, we can easily hold back the zombies and hopefully use the stronghold's massive space to rake in maximum rewards. But here's the catch. Those plants have a 1-minute cooldown cycle. Our job is to keep the zombies at bay during that downtime. When he heard that Chun Yuang headed straight to one side, "I'll take the west side," he said. Kang Jinyuk warned, "Better watch out you don't get bitten. Those things don't miss." "Are you implying I can't handle these weak zombies? You said you'd deal with the martial artist, but ended up getting your butt kicked." Chan Yuang smiled sheepishly at Kang Jinyuk, bringing up old wounds. Then Kang Jinyuk had Lee Tae-min hold the center, using drones to scout and back everyone up when needed. Manhwa and Teresa were assigned to guard the north and south entrances. With everything set, it was time to gear up for battle. Right then, Kang Jinyuk summoned his twin dragon swords, eager to feel their power firsthand. System alert. First wave of zombies incoming. The instant the lead zombie stepped into the arena, an endless horde surged behind it, stretching as far as the eye could see. Zombies flooded the arena gates like crazed maniacs. At the same moment, the solar plants activated, blasting out a massive fireball from their tops. Flames lit up the sky, incinerating zombies left and right. Yona was stunned by the sheer power. If this kept up, there wouldn't even be a fight. Before long, the zombie swarm was completely burned up and the solar plants cooled down. But this was just the beginning of the waves. As Kang Jinyuk unsheathed his swords with a sharp ring, everyone braced themselves. The real battle was about to start. Hold tight for just 1 minute and victory's in the bag. Watching Kang Jinyuk behind her, Teresa's heart fluttered as if she caught a glance meant just for her. Kang Jinyuk shot back a reassuring look. Suddenly, memories of all their shared hardships flooded Teresa's mind. Since leaving the guild, she'd never felt this calm before. Just like Kang Jinyuk said about true friends, what she was doing now was exactly where she belonged. Time to fight for that trust. After everyone kept pushing, Kang Jinyuk's team scored a small victory. Killing zombies dropped solar energy, which could upgrade existing plant towers or help plant new ones. Kang Jinyuk spent the solar energy on combat plants, ice plants. rock plants and explosive plant seeds. He planned to keep expanding their defenses. He handed 2 combat plant seeds to Teresa and Yuona to plant on the east and south sides of the base. The ice and rock seeds went to Li Taman and Qianyong for planting in the center and west sides. As for the explosive plants, Kang Jinyuk had something else in mind. Just then, Yuona asked if the seeds could be planted straight away. Kang Jinyuk shook his head. "Time's tight," he said. "We need a special way to get them ready for battle." With that, he pulled out dry highland cow manure, last autumn's leaves, pentelis, dung, beetles, gray earthworms, and all sorts of other stuff. He mixed them into a big mysterious heap, then grinned, "Dinnertime babies," shoveling spoonfuls into the plants' mouths. Seeing that Li Taman just wanted to say, "Is it just me or is Brother Jinyuk acting a little off today? Just feed the plants this magic fertilizer," Kang Jinyuk said. "I'll leave that part to you guys. Where am I headed?" he added with a nod. "Gonna clear out some trash nearby. Won't be long." And with that, he left the Sangam World Cup Stadium solo. As he moved toward his target, Kang Jinyuk noticed people from other bases hauling supplies. He knew big guilds were prepping for a long, drawn-out fight against 100 waves of zombies. But only newbies would want to drag it out here. Kang Jinyuk's eyes fixed on an abandoned building that was his destination, and something he needed was inside. Soon he yanked off a long cloth, concealing some unknown object in the corner. Behind it was an ancient mirror. Seeing it, Kang Jinyuk glanced back at the huge supermarket stronghold occupied by those martial artists in the distance and smirked. Then when his finger touched the mirror, it actually melted right into its surface. Meanwhile, inside the food storage warehouse of the supermarket stronghold, an arm suddenly projected out from an identical ancient mirror. The next moment, Kang Jinyuk stepped right through it. On the other side, Nam Gong-hyun was still throwing a fit about not beating Kang Jinyuk. The blue-haired woman nearby would usually chime in with a few snide remarks at Nam Gong-hyun's whining, but this time she was unusually quiet. She said, "We were supposed to build forces outside the tower since that guy won't toe the line. Why not just take him out like Nam Gong-hyun suggested?" That put the spiky-haired leader in deep thought. Honestly, with Kang Jinyuk's strength, he really wanted to recruit him. But as his companion warned, keeping him might be a disaster. Just then a violent tremor shook everything around. Everyone was caught off guard. Suddenly someone came rushing and panicked, yelling that their food storage warehouse was under attack. No sooner had he spoken, a massive plant burst through the floor, rising up from the ground. Amidst the dust and smoke, a figure emerged and said, "My cherry saw you hoarding too much food and got worried you might overeat, so it decided to eat it all for you. Why not thank the cherry quickly?" The figure was none other than Kang Jinyuk. The spiky-haired man stared in disbelief, especially seeing that the plant kept tearing through the stronghold relentlessly. He hurriedly shouted at Kang Jinyuk to stop. "You idiot! Do you even realize how dumb this is?" Kang Jinyuk casually scratched his ear. "You mean the queen?" he asked. Everyone else was stunned. How did he know about that? Kang Jin continued. "Before the third wave, when a fortress with over 200 defenders falls, the ruler of the fourth floor, the Death Mother, shows up. That's the so-called queen. I've been hoping to find such a large stronghold, and here it is, right in front of me." "Are you out of your mind? Even if all the current players teamed up, they couldn't beat you, and you're actually trying to summon her. What's your plan here to our..." Kang Jinyuk sneered. "Don't lump me in with you guys. As for why I'm too lazy to grind this zombie game 100 times with her around." With that, he patted the rampaging plant and ordered it to keep demolishing. The very next second, he leaped straight out of the stronghold. "So you'd better just sacrifice yourselves without a fuss." Nam Gong-hyun wanted to chase after him, but vines shot up everywhere from the ground. System notification. Large supermarket stronghold has collapsed. Suddenly, a strange tremor rippled through the entire fourth floor. Qianyong whispered, "Something bad's coming." System notification. Special event triggered. Meanwhile, deep inside the zombie headquarters on the fourth floor, a female zombie began to stir awake. Her eyes fixed ahead as if she could see every player on the fourth floor. System notification. Punishing weak humans. Fourth floor Master Pendariel is on the move. At that moment, Kang Jinyuk arrived at a skyscraper. He wasn't just planning to introduce a boss into this tower defense mess. He wanted to spice things up. In his hand gleamed the solar eclipse stone from the third floor. This stone could darken sunlight, cutting all light-based powers by half, while doubling dark attribute abilities. Without hesitation, Kang Jinyuk crushed the stone. A shadowy eclipse slowly crept over the sun. As it fully took hold, every zombie beneath the eclipse surged with newfound strength. Teresa, a light attribute being, felt it immediately. Her divine power was suddenly halved. The eclipse also boosted the boss Pandariel. Furious, she'd been called because humans were weak and lost their stronghold. Now humans were unknowingly fueling her rage even more. System notification, 4th floor master is watching you. The master declared a targeted strike on your fortress. Kang Jinyuk only grinned and said, perfect. Then he calmly uploaded 2 videos to the forum. The first showed that the boss appeared because the Triad failed to defend their base. It pissed off a lot of players. And the second video boldly claimed, I'm here to clean up the Triad's mess, instantly gaining him a wave of fans. That second video quickly shot into the top 10 trending clips. Yu Yunhua and the others were speechless. This was crazy, but trying to face the boss with just a few players was a tall order. Given the situation, Shan Yuang didn't waste time. He asked Kang Jinyuk if he had any plan to fix the mess he'd kicked up. Kang Jinyuk's first words brought a sigh of relief. I have a way to beat the boss. But then he pointed straight at Qianyuan, though I'll need your help for it. Qianyuan instantly felt a chill down his spine. Not long after, Pandariel led a cavalry force arriving at Sangam World Cup Stadium. With her command, the attack was about to begin. Pandora led her cavalry squad and had already reached Sangam World Cup Stadium. At her signal, they were ready to launch their attack. The zombies charged at the stadium entrance like wild animals. Right away, the defense systems that were set up started firing. Even though the plant towers packed a punch, these enhanced zombies clearly shrugged off most of the damage. Pandariel just kept walking forward, totally unfazed. Before long, the plant towers were destroyed, and Pandariel made it to the center of the stadium. But then she locked eyes with something unexpected, an iceberg. And inside that iceberg was the very person she was meant to execute. Before she could process what was going on, a crystal dropped from the ice. Pandariel caught it without hesitation. Suddenly, time flipped back to just a little while ago. After hearing Kang Jinyuk's plan, Qianyuan cursed, "You're seriously out of your mind." Then grudgingly, he handed over 100,000 gold coins to Kang Jinyuk. Yep, Qianyuan's main role was to fund Kang Jinyuk's next big move. Kang Jinyuk used that gold to snag a ton of special gear and said, next up, we all turn into bait. Hearing that Qianyuan was stunned, spending all that money just to play decoy. But Kang Jinyuk grinned and said, actually not bait, more like a killing machine holding up a crystal. And that's exactly the crystal Pandariel held now. Suddenly, a blinding light burst from it. Then the dazzling ice prison activated, instantly encasing the whole stadium in a massive icy cage. Every zombie inside, including Pandariel, was trapped. But wait, did Zhang Zhenyi's team deal with the 4th floor boss that fast? Before that thought could settle, Pandariel activated her Black Death skill, breaking free from her icy prison in a flash. She locked onto the frozen humans, ready to finish the job. But right then, a system message popped up. You activated skill Swallow Breathing. You activated skill Sword Steps of the King. In Pandariel's view, someone was moving crazy fast, charging straight toward her base camp. Panic hit her. Damn, this is just a distraction. If that human makes it back, no matter how strong she is, it's game over. Still, Kang Jinyuk's face shifted. At this moment, Pandariel had already figured out what was going on and was hot on his trail. Luckily, Kang Jinyuk moved fast, creating enough distance to buy plenty of time to reach the boss's lair, but the path wasn't clear. Several zombies were lingering around, seemingly ordered to block Kang Jinyuk's way. Seeing this, Kang Jinyuk sprang into action, instantly activating the Grave of Swords and Blessing of the Stars skills while drawing his twin dragon swords. The blades flashed wildly. Those trash mobs were no match. Still, Kang Jinyuk couldn't waste time on minions. His goal was the boss's flag just ahead. But as he moved forward, a flash of blade light suddenly shot toward him. Kang Jinyuk barely dodged, though his face stayed calm, clearly expecting the attack and knowing exactly where it came from. Right then, a massive pair of blood-stained scissors appeared. It was a gigantic two-headed zombie, the Queen's flag guardian Butcher. Seeing Butcher arrive, Kang Jinyuk stayed cool and charged right at him. The Butcher laughed loudly, thinking Kang Jinyuk was reckless, then snapped his giant scissors down, aiming to slice both the twin dragon swords and Kang Jinyuk in one hit, with a loud clang. The swords held firm, undamaged. Kang Jinyuk vaulted into the air, taunting, "This isn't just some random blade buddy." At the same time, his fire element burst to life, and he slammed an elemental strike onto Butcher's forehead. Bright flames erupted instantly on Butcher's head. Kang Jinyuk seized the moment to grab his swords again, knowing this damage wouldn't wipe his opponent out, but that wasn't his real plan. The key was to briefly blind Butcher. The next second, exploiting Butcher's impaired vision, Kang Jinyuk swung his blade down. He swung wildly at the Butcher's body, but since the Butcher was undead, he just sneered, saying a scrape like that wouldn't take him down. But hold on. The real action is just kicking off. Suddenly, Mandala's skill triggers, bathing the boss's lair in a dazzling golden light like sunrise breaking through the gloom. At the same time, a system message pops up. You've defeated the Butcher. You've earned scissors haunted by a vengeful spirit. Now, Kang Jinyuk sights the nearby flag. Pull it, and the game ends, just as he steps toward it. A system alert interrupts. Blackhound has appeared and wants to share a message from the ancient gods. Hearing Blackhound, Kang Jinyuk instantly knows this is Anubis' subordinate. But what's this creature after, curious? Kang Jinyuk looks up and says, "All right, little pup, I'm listening. What do you want?" Hearing that, the Blackhound shows a flicker of disdain, but Kang Jinyuk isn't having any of that attitude. "Why so mad at me? Want me to finish this right now?" Nervous, the Blackhound quickly forces a smile and says, "The ancient gods want this battle to reach a proper conclusion." Kang Jinyuk's eyes widen. Does that mean they're unhappy he didn't face the boss head-on, or maybe they just don't like him? After a moment's thought, he replies, "Why should I agree to that? I can just pull the flag and win right now." The Blackhound's face says, "You'll come around." Meanwhile, the system announces Blackhound has offered you a contract. Kang Jinyuk grins as he scans the contract. Gotta admit, the deal's pretty sweet. Suddenly, a thunderous roar breaks out. Pandriel, who's been chasing him all along, finally bursts into her fortress, but she looks confused. This human got here first, and yet her flag's still standing. Then a voice grabs her attention. "Don't worry. Someone put down a deposit so I could fight you. So I held off. Your flag's safe for now." Pandriel's puzzled. What's a deposit? She's powerful as a boss, but not exactly sharp. Kang Jinyuk halts too. Next moment, he hoists the giant, tricked-out scissors onto his shoulder, saying, basically, it's like get paid first, then do the job. But taking on someone like Pandriel with her insane stats is no joke. Even with skill gaps closing the level difference, Kang Jinyuk feels the heat. Just as expected, the air whistles sharply. Kang Jinyuk barely reacts before Pandriel suddenly appears behind him. In a flash, she swings hard, sending him flying, but then she pauses. That hit didn't faze him at all. Seeing this, Pandriel gets a bit rattled. Then she roars furiously like she's losing her mind. Her fingers sprout crazy sharp spikes aimed straight at Kang Jinyuk. Kang Jinyuk activates King's sword steps, boosting his movement speed by 70% to dodge. At the same time, a chill fills the air as he triggers glacial sculpture again. Ice suddenly envelops Pandriel, freezing her in place. Kang Jinyuk leaps, smashing a heavy blow right to her neck. But she holds her ground amazingly. That strike leaves her totally untouched. Missing his shot. Kang Jinyuk pulls back. Pandriel coolly taunts, "Your little tricks won't bring me down." Kang Jinyuk just chuckles. "Yeah, I know." But before he can say more, Pandriel lunges again, her spinning blades about to shred him. But glacial sculpture snaps on, blinding her eyes. With vision blurred, her attack loses its aim, and Kang Jinyuk slips away easily. Seizing the moment, he lifts the scissors and strikes again, aiming for Pandriel's weak spots like her eyes. Unfortunately, this strike barely made a dent. What it triggered instead was Pandriel's even fiercer counterattack. On top of that, the force behind that blow was so intense that Kang Jinyuk had to unleash his full power, and still he was sent flying through the air. Spotting the chance, Pandriel swung her sword horizontally, then slammed it into the ground without warning. At that moment, a system alert popped up. Pandriel had activated the skill requiem of the dead. As the system announced it, a swarm of spikes burst toward Kang Jinyuk. Watching this, the Black Hound grinned with satisfaction. For him, the flashier the fight, the better. Whether Kang Jinyuk lived or died didn't really matter. As the huge attack barreled down and forced Kang Jinyuk to plummet from the sky, Kang Jinyuk reached out and summoned the item he had traded with the Black Hound earlier, just moments ago, to get Kang Jinyuk fighting Pandriel one-on-one. The Black Hound had handed over a piece of gear called Jackal's Tooth as collateral. It was a top-tier item that boosted attack speed by 10% and attack power by 30%. More than enough as a down payment for convincing Kang Jinyuk to take action. But Kang Jinyuk knew this equipment had an incredibly rare ability beyond its raw stats, so he kept negotiating to make sure he could use it. Jackal's Tooth alone wasn't enough. He needed one more item. When the Black Hound asked what, Kang Jinyuk requested something called White Branch, a B-grade crafting material. White Branch was a pretty uncommon healing item for the first 10 floors of the Tower of Trials, but up on the 42nd floor with Anubis, it was basically useless junk. So the Black Hound had no problem agreeing to the trade. Giving Kang Jinyuk that gear was nothing to him. And just like that, both Jackal's Tooth and White Branch ended up in Kang Jinyuk's hands. But as payment, Kang Jinyuk couldn't pull out the flag that would end the game while facing Pandriel. Holding the two prized items, Kang Jinyuk flashed a sly smile like everything was going according to plan. Seeing that, the Black Hound suddenly sensed something bad was about to go down, and sure enough, the next second, a system message popped up. You are now fusing 3 pieces of equipment, White Branch Jackal's tooth, and a pair of scissors filled with a vengeful spirit. Fusion successful. You have obtained the causality-severing scythe. Jackal's tooth and scissors infused with vengeful spirit fusion complete. System notification. You've obtained the causality-severing scythe. The causality-severing scythe was a divine artifact, wielding absolute judgment, able to kill the unkillable, and sever what shouldn't be severed. Feeling the immense power radiating from the weapon in Kang Jinyuk's grip, Pendereal felt fear for the very first time. But moments later, a system notification popped up. Because a divine artifact like this exceeds the level of the 4th floor, the system will intervene and restrict its use, due to a forced downgrade. Because this divine artifact appeared, which doesn't fit the 4th floor's level, the system is stepping in. Due to balance adjustments. The weapon could only be used once. Kang Jinyuk didn't care. He was mostly testing if he could get his hands on such a powerful item early. Even though only one use was a bit of a letdown, it was more than enough to enjoy the thrill and clinch this fight. In a flash, Kang Jinyuk lifted the scythe high. Aiming it straight at Pendereal, an overwhelming pressure rolled over her, and she knew there was no dodging this blow. With nothing left to do but give it her all, the two unleashed their strongest attacks. Yet in the next moment, Kang Jinyuk's hand shot up and the scythe swung down. The blade crashed against Pendereal's black sword tip, and with a crackling sound, her sword shattered into pieces. That unstoppable blow cut through the air toward Pendereal. Stunned, the Black Hound hadn't expected such a turn of events in this fight.